welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guys, Mo Nawara in the Midwest. We got Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we are running along here on a Tuesday night baseball slate with you guys. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this regular season, taking a look at 3 or 4 of our favorite games of each slate. And also want to make sure if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for Tuesday's slate. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, we're back after the long weekend here. It's been a great weekend out here in Boston, headed to the finals, but we are focusing on baseball here. One day game in Detroit, then we get into the night slate. Cleveland is minus 125 at home against the Royals. Phillies minus 135 against the Giants at home. The Angels plus 118 at Yankees with Thor on the mound. White Sox plus 138 at Toronto. Washington plus 168 at the Mets. The Twins in that second half of that doubleheader, minus 150 at Detroit. Reds plus 115 at Red Sox. Padres plus 110 at Cards. Brewers minus 130 at Cubs. We got a toss-up Rays at Rangers. Martin Perez just continues to do the damn thing. Marlins toss-up at Rockies. Braves are minus 165 at Arizona, Astros minus 135 at Oakland, and then the Pirates massive underdogs at the Dodgers. We're going to keep it pretty East Coast centric here on this show, starting in Yankee Stadium, because Thor is always an interesting guy to look at this year as he continues to overcome low swinging strike rate and K per 9 with just great ground ball data. And he's especially getting a lot of ground balls from lefties, which I think is the key here as you go against this Yankees lineup. A 59% ground ball rate and just 13% line drives when he's facing the platoon. They're hitting 219 against him. I think for me, that overcomes the poor home road splits we've seen from Syndergaard thus far. I think he will get through 6-7 innings here against the Yankees. And I think the Angels will get a couple runs off Jordan Montgomery, who's going for the Yanks. So quality start machine is this guy. I mean, allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in every start this year, but he's allowed 2 earned runs or more, and I think 7 of those starts. So some production possible there. He's also limiting hard contact and has a very good K to walk ratio at home, but that you're in the zone that much against a guy like Mike Trout, who's hitting 425 against lefties so far this year. The Angels have the number 1 line drive rate against lefties now, nearly 25%. I think between Trout and some of those other lefty killers, they could get Montgomery his worst outing of the year. I like the plus money for the visitors in that case.
Yeah, I also had an opinion on this game, but it was on the total. So I'm liking the under a little bit here. I was seeing some 8.5s, I believe, at plus. So when it comes to Noah Syndergaard, I still believe the strikeouts are coming. You were saying his swinging strike rate is down, which it is, but it's still pretty good. 11.8%. Like, that's still solid. That's still like right around league average. I think just a little bit below. And he's a guy who, while he has lost a ton of velocity, he's a guy who profiles as a pitcher who should be able to survive lost velocity. He's always had great control. He's always had plus command. And his secondaries are all tremendous. So I think he can survive the lost velocity. I think the strikeouts will come based on the swinging strike rate. It looks like it's way too low right now, but I don't think it'll stay that low. And also two key bats out in this game. One key bat on both sides. You were mentioning the lefty killers for Angels, but they don't have Anthony Rendon right now. I think he just went on the IL with an injured wrist. And then Stanton's still out for the Yankees. So I know it's 2 very good offenses in a small park, but I'm still liking the under a little bit here. It's a good price for me.
It's a good price. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason it's minus 120. I don't necessarily fully yet believe in Jordan Montgomery, just mostly because I guess at this point he's got 4 starts against the Orioles, which I don't love to see, but a couple against the Sox there before they started to pick up their bats a bit as well. So not sure exactly if it's total smoke and mirrors yet with Montgomery, despite that decent ERA and really nice whip that he's sporting right now. So I'm considering an over bet here, but I do see the value there in that even money and an under if you believe a little bit more in the stats that Thor and Montgomery are putting up. But I think we're a little bit split on this one as a group, to be honest, and where we're looking at it. But still some value to find for sure. Keeping things on the East here, we're going to Toronto, where the Chi Sox there are headed to take on the Blue Jays. Got a total of 7.5 runs, as you mentioned, Nate. Kick things off for us. Where do you start with this one? Are you finding value on one of the sides here, or are you looking at a total?
I think the under, is the play here for sure. You got 2, early side candidates. I mean, Giolito has not been consistent, but his stuff still pops off the screen, and he has that 94% strand rate to overcome all the walks he's been issuing. He had 4 walks in just 7 Ks against the Red Sox last outing, but still they pull out the 3-1 win. And the White Sox are going to have to win low-scoring games right now with about half their starting lineup on the IL or day-to-day here. We probably won't see Tim Anderson, Leury Garcia, or Yohan Moncada, in addition to Jimenez and Robert, who are on the IL. And the White Sox, good bullpen, maybe hasn't performed up to expectations, but it's helped them go under pretty damn consistently. 17-10 to the under outside of their division. 6-3 to the under when they're road dogs, which is the case tonight. And Gossman, we've talked about plenty on this show. Just 1 home run over 56 innings here, 1 walk over 23 innings at home, where he has a 27-0 K to walk ratio. And the Blue Jays have gone under in 3 of his 4 home starts, unsurprisingly, if he's going to give up next to nothing. So I like that under at 7.5 runs.
Yeah, I think this is just 2 offenses that are just overrated by the market, is what it comes down to. You look at this game and you look at these 2 teams, Blue Jays, White Sox. You would have seen this game week 1. You would have thought this was 2 top 5 offenses. White Sox, then you check so far how it's gone 2 months in. Even narrowing down versus righties, it's even worse. White Sox 82 WRC plus versus right-handed pitching. That's 28th in baseball. Toronto's been just a middling offense, 97 WRC plus versus right-handers. That's 17th. They were probably supposed to have the best offense in baseball. White Sox were definitely supposed to be up there. Yeah, it's just 2 offenses that I think the market thinks are better than they are. And then, the biggest thing for me here is just when I look at this White Sox lineup, it is just a disaster again. We saw what happened, a month ago or so when they had multiple injuries. I was able to hit the Royals at plus money several times against them. And now, Luis Roberts out. Eloy's definitely out. I don't know if Moncada's playing or not. He missed the last game. Anderson, I believe, is going on the IL. It's just been really, really rough for them. And I mean, these guys are really tough to replace, but I'm not impressed by the names they're rolling out there. So I just think these offenses are way overrated by the market right now. And it's just 2 great pitchers. We've already talked about Gausman a ton, but Giolito a little bit too. His swinging strike rate has not stayed as ridiculous as it was first couple weeks of the season, but still really, really strong. He's definitely, I would think, probably some long shot value in the side markets, like you said. And just getting victimized by some home runs, and that should come down, especially with the dead baseball. So good spot to get plus money on the under. I got plus, but I'm seeing now you're going to have a hard time finding plus, but I think even you can lay a little bit of juice on the under 7.5 here with how busted up these offenses are compared to what they were supposed to be.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the Blue Jays are definitely the team that you would look at in this matchup that you say, I believe in the turnaround that they put together in the last roughly week or so, couple weeks even, really actually, vaulting up in some key categories. But they were bottom 5 against right-handed pitchers specifically as well in OPS. And in the last couple of weeks, as I mentioned, they've actually gone all the way up to about 12th. So they're in the back into the top half of the league there after being really, like I said, bottom 5 or so in those power numbers. Giolito looks pretty good as well, but could I interest you potentially in the run line there at plus 120 for the Blue Jays? I know they are at home, Mo, which is something that you usually caution against there, trying to get those extra runs in the last inning there. But I do think, obviously, with Kevin Gausman on the mound and this team coming back and also being as good as they are on defense, 4th best defense in the AL in terms of outs above average. I believe the Sox are dead last in such categories, so they definitely have the advantage there as well. If you do consider that taking something on the spread there, you might consider that Blue Jays run line minus 1.5. So let's finish things off, though, Nate, with your Sox here, just to let you talk Boston a little bit more. We got total runs at 8.5. Luis Castillo taking on Waka Flocka Flame there. We got Michael Waka on the mound for them. With the Reds in town, where are you starting here with that total run line?
Well, I want the Red Sox money line or their run line, which is 4.5 runs. I maybe you look at an alternate run line for them too, because this team has been just like erupting lately when they do get it going. A couple crooked numbers for sure. They have 98 runs total in their last 13, and those games are 9-4 to the over right now. Waka still shows, some peripheral stats that indicate regression. I mean, there's nothing that really supports his 204 BABIP, his 1.17 ERA at home. But the Reds are a team with the worst weighted runs created plus on the road, pretty by far. So I don't know if they can keep pace with the Red Sox. I think Waka can maybe continue this for at least another start, even though he's projected to get a 5.2 ERA on the season. So far, so good. And then Luis Castillo, who settled down a bit against the Cubs in his 4th start, but the previous 3 starts, the exit velocity was very high. He has a very high career home run to fly ball ratio, especially on the road against righties. And yeah, you go into Fenway and there's all those mashers. Definitely going to be a few big flies here, which is why I think the Red Sox get over 4.5 runs, probably get enough run support to win no matter how Waka performs.
I'm a fan of the over in this spot. Boston and the Reds have been just beating the tar out of the baseball. If you looked a couple weeks ago, you would thought these offenses sucked. It's kind of the opposite case of the last game we talked about. And if you look overall, I mean, it just looks pretty unexciting. Well, one offense looks good, right? Boston like 8th in WRC plus. Cincy, though, near the bottom. We all know they started off absolutely embarrassing on offense, but hit the filter and put in like May 1st or whatever, just not even looking for some game where Cincy scored a bunch of runs, but just throwing in May 1st. All of a sudden, not only is Cincy 101 WRC plus, which is obviously a hair above average, but Boston has been literally the best offense in baseball for the last month. The tighter you make the dates, the better Boston looks. So they've really been coming on strong. And yeah, Luis Castillo, I was a big Luis Castillo guy, but start of last year, we know how slow he started. It was really, really, really bad. He had like 2 really bad months and then basically cleaned it up the whole rest of the season. I don't know if he's like a serial slow starter, but it seems like he's kind of going along the same route this year. His velocity is down quite a bit. I think it's starting to creep back up. It was, I think, in the 94s, but it's up to 95.9 now, but that's still more than a full tick below where he was last year, which that itself was down from the previous year. And swinging strikes, man, he's at about 60% of where he was last year. And again, that was his worst number in years. So I think that he's a little bit behind on getting up to speed, even though his Sierra is great. I'm not really sure what that's coming from, though, because, again, pretty high exit velocity, like Nate was saying. And I just don't think he's all the way there yet. And Waka, just an unexciting kind of 6th starter to basically plug in. I just think, yeah, these offenses are on fire. That park, these pitchers, two bullpens that have been really, really prone to blowups. And I just could see a lot of runs happening in this one. I was pretty surprised the total was only, I got 8.5, I think minus 120. I really think this should be 9 or 9.5.
Interesting. Yeah, I would go along with it. I'm probably going to stay off of this game either way, to be honest. I'm still a Luis Castillo fan who I probably will continue to need to go to some form of meetings to let me know he's not good at baseball yet, because I'm still believing in him. I have that ground ball rate still above 50%. Not the greatest K percentage there or swinging strikes, but the ERA is still pretty high. He hasn't given up 3 runs yet in any of his starts this season, despite not necessarily throwing great stuff. He's just kind of been a gamer at this point, and the tireless Waka there as well. I think that there's some sort of hollow numbers that he's put up as well this year when I'm looking at what he's done. So I would agree with you on that one, Mo. And that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Also want you to continue to head to thelines.com. Make sure you are checking out all that great written content the guys have up for you as we continue along in this MLB season. And until we see you next, happy betting.